So I have to click continue.
Alrighty. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Shift. I'm your host, Palmonia Gordon, and I'm so excited that you have decided to join us today because I have a special guest that's behind the scene and she's waiting just to pounce upon you. But I promise that you will like it. You're going to love it as a matter of fact. You know, most people get scared. As a matter of fact, yesterday when I was out, I saw this lady taking her, I think it was a Dalmatian, to the doctor. And man, was he pulling, oh, you're taking me to the doctor. So it's not that kind of a doctor. It's the one that you're going to say, oh my God, it's finished. Oh, I need some more. So it's a good session we have here today. As a reminder, my name is Palmonia Gordon and I'm your host. And Shift is a community of individual business owners, mom, entrepreneurs, and we simply get together to encourage, motivate, and inspire each other. Shift stands for SHIFT, simply helping individuals to find their truth, their passion, and their purpose. And of course, we're doing it through our stories, our thoughts, and our ideas. Because the challenge is, I may have a thought or an idea that I believe nobody would want to hear about. And then when I see someone else doing it, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I had that same idea. So Dr. Renee White, she goes by Dr. Nay out of New York, Long Island, New York, is going to come and share with us what her experience has been during the pandemic. Her background, she's an educator and she has started a new movement. Not when I put it in quote, I'm doing it in quote to say, be careful because if you miss it, it's going to roll over and roll past you. And we don't want that to happen. So it's a movement called Sister. So, brothers, please don't be discouraged. We have something that's lined up and waiting for the kings. But right now, today, we want to speak to the queens. So if you're a brother, you're a king, and you know a queen, I want you to share this message with her. Say, hey, Queen, I saw this and I believe it's for you. It's something that you need, and I want you to just tune in. All right. So, with that, we're going to introduce Dr. Nay. Dr. Nay, you know what? I know I have your bio, but I love for you to just be authentic and be real and tell the people who you are. Welcome to this episode of Shift.
Harmonia, thank you so much for inviting me. This is such a pleasure. So I guess I'll start off. I'm a girl from the block, from Queens, Jamaica, Queens, New York.
All right, she's Jamaican
Jamaica,
too.
Queens. And I went to New York City public schools, and I graduated from NYU, and I became a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. Even when I was a little girl, in second grade, I used to go down to the kindergartners and read to them and play school in the basement at home. So I became a teacher in the Board of Ed. And I loved it because what was wonderful about it was that I was able to go back to my elementary school,
Mm.
and even some of my former teachers were still teaching. So that was pretty exciting. Like, do you call them by their first name or do you have to still say Mr. and Mrs.? But what was even more exciting was that some of my former classmates' children were
Mm.
attending the school. So I always felt that I was a role model where, I was able to achieve, an education and come back and teach. So that was quite fulfilling. But then, you always want more. You want to do more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I always had a passion for reading.
Hmm.
So I became a reading specialist. I accomplished my master's in literacy, and I became a reading specialist. So I was then in different classrooms within a district.
As per a question, so you mean you're a bookworm like me? You just kind of put a nice title. She's a reading specialist,
Reading
aka
specialist.
bookworm, right?
pretty much, kind of, you know.
Cool.
I used to love mysteries. Yes, so that, you know, gave me the opportunity to collaborate with other classroom teachers and assist them with their instruction. But then it's like, okay, how can I make more of a change? How can I be involved in making policy? You know, making decisions in regards to especially children, you know, of color.
Yes.
So I said, okay, well, I can become a superintendent, right? To be in charge of
Mm-hmm.
a whole district. So I went to UVA and I received my doctorate in educational leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I received all of my certification to become a superintendent. But when I searched for employment, I ended up as a college professor.
Mm. Wow.
So yeah, so I kind of follow the way I'm guided in life. That was a door that opened, and I stepped through it. And so I've been teaching college now for about 27 years,
Wow.
and I teach literacy. I teach people who want to become classroom teachers, but I
Mm.
also teach grad school where I teach teachers who want to specialize in literacy. And also I find that my passion has been, or my calling has been, to educate teachers, educators, about cultural diversity.
Awesome. You know what I love about your story, Dr. Nay, as I jump in here, is you set an intention. I want not just to teach, but I want to get to the root of where the change can happen.
Hmm.
And you thought, okay, being a superintendent, but then you got routed to where the greatest change really can be effective,
Hmm.
because now you're teaching the teachers who are in turn going to bring, so you have literally gone to the ant hill, so to speak, to
Hmm.
put the proper nutrients that is needed to go in. And I know what you were going to say next. I'll let you say that because now you're doing it on a cultural level. And I'm I want you to keep it like we're back at home in New York, sitting on the back porch. We're not in the colleges. So just tell me, taking it back culturally, what does that mean? What does that really mean that you're doing?
What it means to me is that we have so many children who look like us in the classroom with teachers who do not look like us.
So we got
And
black kids, white teachers, right?
right, you know, and that's statistics, you know, that's what it is. But unfortunately, we find that many of the teacher prep programs do not require, say, cultural diversity classes. I used to work with the State Department in New York, in Albany, and we used to visit different colleges and evaluate them for accreditation. And
Mhm,
unfortunately, you know, they didn't come up to par.
mhm.
So I feel that, you know, we really need to become more adamant about preparing teachers for students of color, because as you know, that population, you know, is growing. So we really need to have students who are more knowledgeable and more conscious of what they're doing instructionally to be more culturally, you know, culturally responsive. So yeah, so that's something that I just love that I've been doing.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
And that is phenomenal and so necessary, because we function, we process things so differently from other people.
Mhm.
I mean, culturally, that's just who we are. And when you're in a situation where people don't understand, someone doesn't understand because it's not their norm, and that's can be the challenge. What I have found the challenge with teachers over the years, you have the textbook teacher, you have
Mhm.
the experienced teacher, and then it's finding that balance, that combination says, well, okay, that's who I am as a teacher.
Exactly. And like I tell my students, you weren't exposed or you didn't have that experience to know. It's not in your consciousness. So I find that my purpose is to raise their consciousness, make them more aware, right? And for them to look through more critical lens. I mean, even when you're looking at selecting a children's book, you know, you really need to evaluate it and see, are there any biases, any stereotypes, how might a child of that particular cultural group feel, so it's pretty much, wanting my students to walk in the moccasins, of the students that they have in front of them, and because we tend as humans to do what was done to us,
Yes.
so they don't really understand that colored or that other experience. And I hate to say other, but yes, you
Okay.
know.
So I'm glad that I know you're leading the change because we're all doing it in some way, shape, or form. I do it by what I do here on shift and when I'm out in the community. Because if you've ever been around me and you speak a word, as a matter of fact, in your first conversation, you walked away saying you didn't know about canceling the order. When I say something, if it's not what I want, my God, change it because you're going to get it, right? So
Exactly.
education in comes in many different shapes and form. Now, during the pandemic, you up your game to a whole new level, and this is why we're interested and we're eager to hear what happened and to see how we too can take the life by the horn or the bull by the horn, as it say, as we go forward. So let's hear about sister conversation. What happened there?
Well, okay, I'll back up a little bit because during the pandemic, everything went remote. We were home. I was also chair of the department, and I decided to resign from that because I felt, it wasn't where I needed to be. There was something else
Mhm.
that I needed to do, but I didn't know like what it was. So, sitting home in my sunroom in between, teaching here and there, um, poetry started coming to me. And I've never been a poet per se. I have written a couple of poems here and there in my life. So I would, these words would come, I would get the laptop, and the poems would come in whole from start to finish, pretty much. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, did I write that? So I really feel that I was guided again
Mhm.
into another direction. And the poems that I started writing prior to the Sister to Sister poetry um, was poetry for adolescent girls of color.
Mm.
And it was, well, I have poems, about being proud of your heritage, um, self esteem, demanding respect, being proud of your sister hair. We
Absolutely.
all come in different, shades and colors and ice cream flavors. And also, a lot was going on, here in the US with, George Floyd and, so I even have, a poem and a couple of poems in regards to, well, as, a young person of color, what stance might you take to become a social activist? How might you become an agent of change?
Mm.
So I wrote these poems for adolescent girls. And then I was like, well, as a literacy person, because that's how I kind of
That's
think,
how you process. Yes.
exactly. A lot of people think literacy is, decoding, being able to read fluently or being able to understand. But when you think about the theory, of literacy, and I won't get into all of that stuff that I teach in the classroom, but it's about the reader making connections, right? And about how the reader um, reacts and has a personal response.
Mhm.
So within the poetry, within the book, I have incorporated literacy strategies where the students can make connections with their personal lives
Mhm,
But
mhm.
then also at the end of the chapters, I have what you call graphic organizers to help them synthesize and analyze what the poems were about. Yes, so that's something that I want to, get published and get into the schools, into the hands of these young girls.
Mhm.
And then my sons were like, because I have two sons, grown, and they were like, well, what about the boys? Like, you can't just, have the book Dear Sister Girl, because that's the name of the book, Dear Sister Girl.
Yes.
So they said, well, what about the boys? I'm like, you're right, right? So I wrote a parallel text
Mm,
for adolescent boys. So
nice.
some of the poems are mutual, but there are others that kind of parallel. So if it's used in the classroom, the girls will have their take on it and the boys will have their take. So it's yo, bro, let me rap to you.
All right.
So that still is going upon the theme of that cultural diversity in the classroom, where now I have these instructional materials that enhances and reinforces literacy, but at the same time focus on children of color and their self-esteem and their self-confidence.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Awesome. This is good.
yeah,
This is good work.
yeah, pretty exciting, pretty exciting.
And then Sister happened.
And then sister happened. So it's interesting because when I finished one project, um ideas for the next project comes. So when I finished those two texts, then poems started coming for women.
Mm,
And so they're poems again, about achieving your goals, um being a mom, the journey as a woman, dealing with the men folk. Because I feel, as women, no matter, where we are, what degrees we have, what age we are, what color we are, we still experience, I think, these universal topics, as women.
they don't ever change. I met this nurse yesterday because I had to go into the doctor, and she said she recently went on vacation with her husband that she left 40 years ago, and they finally reconnected. And I said to her, isn't it amazing the difference that happens when growth happens? And she goes, yes. And I'm like, yeah, if communication was 40 years ago, they wouldn't have had to have had that split if that communication and understanding was there. So, yeah, you're right. It doesn't ever change. We change. And
Mhm.
that's what I think that's the missing link. And the sometimes the patience that's needed to understand that as I'm growing, the other person is growing too. And it's being in alignment to run or walk with each other for
Right.
that growth. Not that I'm condoning situations that are hurtful or harmful. You
Mhm.
have to know the space that you're in. Because I mean, I had to take a stance for myself also, right?
Right.
When you have other emotions that are negative and that's going to put you over the edge, then my God, you have to choose. But
Right.
we do say getting that understanding, which is what I guess Sister is designed to do, a community where you can feel free to ask questions, to find out, to get hope. So go ahead, Dr. And I just wanted to,
Yes.
that reminder came to just to, put
Right.
that in there because we think, oh, you know what, when you get old and mom and dad don't argue and fight, you just don't see it or understand anymore.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. But I love that story because that sounds like an idea for a poem. And what's so funny, my poetry, I go back and I read it and I'm like, yeah, okay, there are hints of my experiences in there, but also my conversations with girlfriends. So now they're like, when I have a conversation, they're like, okay, don't write a poem about that, but it's not like I'm looking for topics to write the poem. I may have the conversation, but then I wake up in the middle of the night and the words are there, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
But I don't mention, in any names or anything to that extent.
yeah.
But you're right about, the sister to sister, conversations. My blog, the intention is to embrace, encourage, empower,
Mhm.
and educate women, so that we can come together in this safe little area where we can, have my poetry, as a discussion starter, right? So that people can, connect with it, if it resonates with them, and make comments to start that dialogue, because many of times I think, we feel like we're in isolation because we're so busy in our house, trying to work, trying to cook, trying to clean, trying to, take care of the kids, and so I kind of perceive my blog as an opportunity for sisters, to have that little quiet moment to themselves when they put the kids to bed, or finish their work or finish cleaning up the kitchen or whatever it is, where they can listen to the poem and say, oh, okay, yes, I understand, I have this particular experience. So yes, so it's kind of bringing that community into the homes of others.
Awesome. And that is so needed. The help, the resource, the reminder. So Dr. Nay wants to give the, embrace, the encouragement, and all that community component that because we are so big on technology, we're
Mhm,
all connected, yet we're very disconnected
mhm, mhm.
because we're all connected by the device. Yeah, my case is looking thing. Let's not embrace. But we're connected by the device.
Mhm.
And outside of the device, the ability to touch. How can I touch you outside of, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, seeing your post, right? Picking
Right,
up the phone, making that authentic phone call. Hey girl, how you doing? I was just thinking about you, crossed my mind,
exactly.
right? So being able to touch them that way is huge. And we appreciate this, Dr. Nay. This is so needed. And I mean, we want to support you. So I know you have a poem that you've done for us. I'm gonna go ahead and allow you just to share that and let me just feel that embrace right here. And and then tell us where we can connect with you so we can go out and connect, listen to the blog, get more of that embrace, knowing that, man, when I'm eating my ice cream and I'm feeling, we can say, all right, let me eat the ice cream with
Exactly.
Dr. Nay. All right, so let's hear what you have for us today.
Okay, so I have decided to share a poem for my sisters, Soar, Sister Soar.
Mm,
Um, and because I want, sisters to, not try to wait for that particular moment, to try to, reach their dreams, because we tend to wait, until, okay, our kid is going to kindergarten or even college. Sometimes we say, okay, I have to wait until, I save up a certain amount of money,
mhm.
but sometimes we have to take that leap of faith, right? And pursue our dreams and our desires. So the poem is entitled Soar, Sister Soar. Soar, sister, soar. Allow your feet to raise from the wooden floor. Resist gravity and allow yourself to gradually lift. Make that mental shift and fully embrace your given gift. As you see the world from an aerial view, your biggest dreams you can freely pursue. Soar, sister, soar. You'll be surprised at what your future has in store. Steadily flap your arms like eagle wings, and you'll accomplish spectacular things. You'll be amazed at what you'll successfully achieve. But first, you must wholeheartedly believe. Soar, sister, soar. Don't be afraid to adventurously explore. Fearlessly drift along the flowing wind's gentle current, and you'll safely arrive where you were sent. As you further heighten and elevate, your destiny you can better navigate. Soar, sister, soar. Allow your perseverance and tenacity to restore. Always fly forward with confidence and ease. Your uncertainty will surely alleviate and cease. Gracefully glide to greater altitudes and the highest height, and your aspiration will be in arm's reach and within plain sight. Therefore, allow your feet to leave the ground
Mm.
so your life can enhance by leaps and bounds. Soar, sister, soar.
I got goosebumps the moment you started.
Thank
I mean, that sounds like a book. And I'm going to put it out there. We need a whole bunch of sisters. I would say we need, by the end of the year, we need 100 women that are willing to come together and said, I want to be a part of this compilation of how I started to soar or how I intend to soar, because that is the biggest shift in that tiny action where you make that decision to say,
you.
yes, I'm going to do this. And then you need to tell the whole world, because the atmosphere is the greatest and the most fertile soil in which all your dreams can grow. Dr. Nay,
Exactly.
encore, that was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank
I
you.
loved it.
Thank you.
I loved it. It spoke to me. I felt it. I could see that soaring. And that's what we want for every person who connects with Dr. Nay and Sister to soar.
Exactly. And it's been so wonderful because so far I have over 180 sisters within 3 months when I started this, you know. So I'm looking, to expand the globe. I mean, there are women in, of course, the US and Canada, dear sister,
Yes.
and in Dubai, in South Africa, Uganda, London, St. Martin. I mean, women from all around the world are joining this movement. I love how you said movement, because that's pretty much how I define it.
Yes.
And I want to focus on the educate as well, right? Because I find that these women have so many specialties and
Mm.
expertise. So I'm going to start sister pods where we can educate each other in this safe environment, about different topics. So thank you for allowing me to, as the platform, to get my mission out there to other sisters.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. So just give a shout out as to where they can connect with you. If you have, well, events and stuff, if you have anything that's happening, but mostly where to connect with you so they can log into Sister and get more of the store.
Okay, so I have a blog. It's drnay.blog, DRNAY, no periods, no spaces, .blog. And with that, you can log on. It's free of charge to join the sisterhood. And also you will see, so our sister showcase, some of our other sisters. You can also log on and RSVP. I'm having a sister social next week and another one the week after, so that as sisters we can get to know each other a little better. Also, you will learn more about me. All of my poetry is on there on the weekly blogs. So that's kind of the one-stop shopping place, is my drnay.blog. I also have a YouTube channel that I'm excited about, and that's Sistah, Sistah, Sistah to Sistah Conversations, and that's a YouTube channel, and you can also subscribe to that. And then I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as Renee, Dr. Nay White, I think it is. Yes.
Okay, so family, there it is, Shift Nation. You either look for Dr. Nay, Nay, or Dr. Renee, Nay, Nay, White.
Anyway, White. Mm-hmm.
Right. And she's having a social next week. That's next week when? Give us a date and time.
Okay, it is going to be Thursday, July 15th, 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. And it's just an idea, just something informal for us to just come together and just to chit chat, get to know each other. And then there's another one on Thursday, July 22nd, same time, 7 to 8. And you can register via my blog, drnay.blog. And you can receive the link to join. Right. So right now it's virtual. In the future, I envision person-to-person retreats. Maybe Toronto might
Hey,
be a destination.
we like to travel, so definitely New York as well, and St.
Okay.
Martin and Dubai. We
Dubai, St. Martin, my favorite island in the world. Yes. So yes. Yeah. So so that's kind of in the future, but we're starting off just getting to know each other virtually, and then building from there.
Okay, awesome. So great job, Dr. Nay. Shift Nation, thank you so much. We know how we support each other. And this, another reason why we like to showcase is we traditionally and culturally as a people have not been taught to celebrate who we are and our accomplishments. I had a phone call this morning that I didn't even need coffee. I mean, I know the stocks are going to go down for coffee, I mean, for a couple of days because I'm just so pumped. But I had one of my business partner and client that she said, you know what? I made that. I added her assignment was to add two friends on Facebook. And for 4 years, it took her 4 years to find. She said it felt like that phone. You know how they say the phone is heavy when you got them? She says to put that button, but she did it. And I'm
Mhm.
so excited. It's like, oh my gosh. So we want you to celebrate that. We want to share this story so you recognize that those little things are not little things, they are huge. They are the
Exactly.
foundation for the skyscraper that we're helping you to build. And we want to be your cheering committee. We want to cheer you on and say, go, sister, go. Right? Soar,
Exactly.
sister, soar.
Exactly. We have to support each other.
Absolutely. And Kings, as I said, we haven't forgotten you. My partner, I have a partner that's out of Ohio. She's actually away on vacation, but we're working on something for you because we know that as a people, when the king hurt, the community hurt. And when the
Mhm.
queen hurts, my God, the community, it's in pain.
Everybody hurts.
Right? So our whole idea is to ensure that we're getting the king and the queens to be in
Yes.
a place of rightful royal position where their
Mhm.
posture and their statue and who they are resonate so well that they don't need to say to somebody, hey, come in alignment. When you go past, they go, I need to follow that person.
Mhm.
That's who we're designed and destined to be. And we're just calling that out to come in alignment with it. So once again, thank you for stopping by. We're so excited. We had Dr. Nay all the way from New York. And I hope you were like me and you heard all the destinations where she's taking us because you know I love to travel. That's a big part of my DNA. I mean, who else? Born in the island of Jamaica, what lived in New Jersey, now here in Canada. You know we were designed to move. As a matter of fact, where did many of us originate? Over in Africa. And
Mhm.
we made that journey not by choice many years ago,
Mhm.
right? And now we are going to travel by choice to places we choose. And we're inviting you to come along with us. We love you. God bless you. Remember to comment. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share the information with a friend because not everyone knows that we exist. And we want them to have the same kind of food that you're having so that we can grow strong together. I love you. God bless you. Have yourself an amazing day.